Welcome back to my channel and a very special welcome if you're new here. My name is Jen and this is Jen Clayton Beauty. We do everything beauty and makeup and that includes new releases, and today I am so excited because I purchased a few pieces from the brand new Colourpop and Frosty the Snowman collection. I love Frosty the Snowman. I watch it every single year. So when Colourpop released this, I fell in love with the collection. So I actually picked up 3 pieces. I will have the entire collection linked down below for you with a discount code, the same code that I used when I purchased, but I had to limit what I bought because I'm on a lip no buy, so I skipped all the lip products. So I picked up the pieces that I thought I would get the most use out of. So first I bought the Frosty the Snowman sponge. I also bought the Super Shock Duo. I love Colourpop Super Shock formula. And then of course, I bought the eyeshadow palette because I fell in love with the eyeshadow palette the minute that I saw it. So I picked that. So those are the 3 pieces that I picked up from the Colourpop Frosty the Snowman collection. Like I said, I will link the entire collection down below for you with a discount code. I'll also have my favorite beauty subscription boxes, all of the other makeup that I'm wearing today. If you would like to shop my look, discounts to my favorite indie brands, and come follow me over on TikTok for more beauty and makeup. So let's talk about the pieces that I picked up, then I'll zoom you in and we'll get started. So like I said, the first thing I picked up is the sponge. I thought that this was absolutely adorable. I love that it's a little snowman. I love that it's color changing. So this is the Snowman Beauty Sponge. It does change from white to blue when it is wet. I did get mine wet. I have not used it yet. I did get it wet though, and it puffed up quite a bit. Now, is this the most usable sponge? Maybe not, just because of the shape of it, but I figured you could use the bottom of the snowman to maybe tap in your foundation, and then the hat or the small part of the snowman you could use for the under eyes. I'm going to test it out. I just wanted to get it wet to show you that it does change colors. I just thought this was really cute. Just a nice memorabilia piece from the movie. And then like I said, I got the highlighter duo. I'm so excited about this. I do not have any highlighter on today, so we're going to test this out, but I thought that this was so much fun. You're going to get 2 of the Super Shock highlighters. One of them's a little more pinky toned, one of them's a little more white toned. First, let's talk about the pink one called Icicle Spree. So this is the pinky toned Super Shock highlighter. It does have a marble design, pink, purple, gold. This swatched really beautifully. I love this formula. I can't wait to use this on my cheeks. I'd love to use this formula on as my inner corner highlight if the palette doesn't have an inner corner highlight. I like that this one is that shifty from pink to gold with that little bit of purple. And then the other one in the collection is Winter Wonder, and this one is the white leaning highlighter. Now it does have a little bit of a gold shift to it. This would be beautiful on the cheeks, beautiful as an inner corner highlight. I think what I'm actually going to do for today's look is I'm going to use Icicle Spree, the pink marbled highlighter on my cheeks, and then we'll use Winter Wonder as our inner corner highlight. Even though the palette does have an inner corner highlight shade, I want to try this one out. I love Flexitarian as my inner corner. I use it all the time. So I'm excited to see how these perform. And last but not least, of course, I picked up the palette. This is the Frosty the Snowman palette. This is a 15 shade eyeshadow palette. There is not a mirror, but I actually like the cute little frosty design. It says, "'Tis the season to be freezing." This palette has a lot of different formulas. So we have quite a few mattes. It is definitely a little bit more of a pastel leaning palette, but I do appreciate that we have some deep tone mattes as well. One of them is black and it's actually a matte with shimmer, but it's not very shimmery. So I would definitely use that as a matte. And then we have this kind of cool toned gray brown shade. We've got a white to lighten things up, and again, lots of pastel mattes. We also, as far as shimmer formulas go, this palette does actually have 3 pressed glitters. So this is the new Colourpop pressed glitter formula. I actually don't mind this formula at all. In fact, those 3 shades swatched absolutely beautifully. Your shades that are pressed glitters are Something Wonderful, Ice and Snow, and 1969. So I definitely want to use one of the pressed glitters on my eyes today. And then we just have some really pretty kind of sparkly duochrome shimmers as well. We do have a couple of white options for an inner corner highlight. I mean, the palette is really pretty. It's definitely lighter toned. It's definitely more pastel leaning, but I Again, appreciate the inclusion of some dark, deep mattes as well. Packaging is absolutely adorable. Colourpop nails their packaging for these collaborations. So let me zoom you in and let's get started. So like I said, I want to use the shade Icicle Spree as my highlighter. So I do have my highlighter brush. I'm going to pick that up. I love this formula. Isn't that pretty? What I like about it is it's very, very buildable. So you can go a little light-handed. You can dip back into it to really build that up. Isn't that so pretty? Now, you know me and I love a good scene from space highlight. So I went back in twice to get this beautiful highlight. You can also apply these Super Shock highlighters with your finger. It actually works really well. I like to go in and just tap that out with my finger after I use a brush. This is beautiful. Absolutely love it. Love, love, love. I'm going to prime my eyes with my MAC Paint Pot and Painterly, and then we'll get started on this eye look. It's so hard to think about what type of look I want to do. Most of the mattes are very on the light side. Again, very pastel. This one I would say is a little bit more of a mid-tone matte. And then like I said, you've got the two deep dark mattes. I think I'm going to start with the pink shade called Thermometer. And I'm going to blend that all into my crease, a little bit above my crease, kind of use this as my transition shade, but also to give me a little pop of that pretty purpley pink. This is really pretty. It's definitely pastel. I am having to dip back in a few times to get enough color payoff. But like I said, this is a perfect transition shade. It is pigmented enough that you could use it as a standalone matte. And I really like that it's a little bit more purple toned. It's really pretty. I'm going to dip into the blue matte called Splendid, and I'm going to just buff that into my crease. I'm not going to go above my crease because I do want that first shade temperature to kind of pop out above. This shade is really pretty. Actually, this blue shade is one of my favorite pastel blues that I've used, that I have in my collection. This is really pretty. And for being a pastel shade, it's very pigmented, very blendable. It's layering really nicely over temperature. Then I'm going to use the shade called Button Nose, which is, like I said, that kind of cool toned gray purple matte. It's one of the deeper ones in the palette. And I'm actually going to pop that on my outer corner to add that little bit of depth. But I'm also going to bring that over about a third of the way into my crease, over that blue matte Splendid. This shade is really, really beautiful. It's very unique. It's like a gray purple, and it is also layering really nicely. I'm layering this over two other mattes, and it is performing beautifully. I also appreciate that it's a deep matte, but it's not so deep that it doesn't go with the pastel mattes in the palette. It is pretty. I really, really like this shade. And I'm going to go back into that pink shade Temperature, and I'm just going to use that to blend and diffuse out those edges. I'm really, really liking my look so far. I'm going to use my NYX Glitter Primer. And then, like I said, I do want to test out the new pressed glitter formula, or the newer pressed glitter formula that's in this palette. And then, of course, some of the other shimmers as well. So I'm going to use the pressed glitter called 1969. And when I touch it, it is a little bit chunky, quintessential to a pressed glitter. It is very, very sparkly, very, very beautiful. And using my finger, I'm going to tap that on my lid. I'm going to focus on the outer about 3/4. This is absolutely gorgeous. Oh my goodness, is this gorgeous. I don't have any glitter fallout, which I very much appreciate. And tapping it on the eyes is actually going on really nicely. It doesn't remind me of a pressed glitter. It reminds me more of just a little bit more chunky style shimmer shade. And then I'm going to pick up this shimmer. This is just a regular shimmer shade called Happy Birthday. It looks like a duochrome, shifting from a pink with maybe a little bit of a blue base. And I'm going to pop that on the inner portion of my eye right next to that pressed glitter. Okay, this is really pretty too. This definitely has a pink purple shift, which pairs beautifully with Temperature, that pinky purple shade, that pinky purple matte we put into our crease. Yeah, that is really, really, really pretty. And then I'm going to pick up this purple leaning shimmer called Busy, Busy, Busy. And I'm going to use that just to add to the outer portion of my lid, closest to that deepest matte, just to add in a little bit more depth even in the shimmers. I'm going back into that darker matte called Button Nose, and I'm going to just buff that on my lower lash line. I'm going to stay really close to my lash line though. I want it to be more like I just added a liner because I want to go in with a shimmer shade to diffuse and buff that out. So I'm going to pick up this shimmer called December Wind. This looks so pretty, like a white blue shift. And I'm going to buff that on top and diffuse that out. Look how pretty that is. Ooh, that is really pretty. That adds just that pop of blue to the lower lash line. And then, like I said, we're going to use the Super Shock Winter Wonder as our inner corner highlight. So I'm going to pick that up on my flat brush. Wow. Whoa, 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 is that beautiful. Even going to bring that just under my brow a little bit. I've already done my brows, but I'm just going to kind of line underneath just to give that pop. This Super Shock's a bit of a pleasant surprise. It's definitely a little bit more blue leaning, so it's like an icy white to blue shift. It is so pretty. Let me go ahead and do some liner and mascara, pop on a lippy, and I'll be back to share my thoughts on the Frosty the Snowman collection from Colourpop. So here is the completed look with the Colourpop Frosty the Snowman collection. As I finished getting ready for the day, there were a couple things that I noticed. I want to share that with you when I give you my final review on these products. But let's go ahead and start with the cute little snowman sponge. Like I said, I have not used this yet. I do appreciate that it fluffs up when I get it wet. I am someone who always gets my sponge wet before I use it. So I'm gonna try this out tomorrow. I will put an update here on the screen for you because I will be editing this video after I've had the chance to try this out. But I think this is really fun. If you love the movie, this is just a great collector piece. I know a lot of people collect these fun little shaped sponges, don't even use them, just have them as a collector. And I think this one is so perfect for this collection. And then let's talk about the highlighters. I am in love with these. First of all, the pinky one, what one was that? Icicle Spree, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I love that it does have that little pop of pink because it pairs beautifully with the purpley shades in the eyeshadow palette and that shade Temperature we used on the lid. And then the shade Winter Wonder, I love that. Look how pretty that is as an inner corner highlight. It's icy white, but it has that little bit of a blue base to it, so it pairs beautifully with the blues in the eyeshadow palette. These are the amazing, amazing Colourpop Super Shock formula. I'm so glad that I picked these up. It was kind of a no-brainer since I love this formula so much and it was so affordable for two of them. The packaging, everything is so well done. And then lastly, let's talk about the palette. So again, the Frosty the Snowman palette. I wish there was a mirror. Sometimes when I take a palette for travel, I like there to be a mirror in there, but I also think that what they did on the top is super cute. I am honestly pleasantly surprised at this palette. When I first got it, I was like, oh, this color story is so pretty, speaks Frosty the Snowman. But like I mentioned, it is a very light pastel leaning palette. And sometimes pastels don't perform very well. You don't get a lot of pigmentation. That is not the case with this palette. I feel like the pastels that I use, these two right here, I got a ton of pigmentation. This green swatched really beautifully as well. The white was very pigmented. I love, love, love the inclusion of this cool tone kind of gray purple shade. That's what I use to deepen up my outer corner. The black would be really nice as well if you just went a little bit lighter handed. The pressed glitters in this palette are really, really nice. I will say that I do, when I went to do my mascara and liner, I do have just a tiny bit of glitter fallout. I even had a couple little pieces of glitter in my brows. That could be from the Super Shock that I did on the brow, underneath my brow, but I think it's from the pressed glitters. But this isn't that chunky craft store glitter formula. It's actually the really good Colourpop pressed glitters, their new revised formula. I really like it. I think it's sparkly. I think it's beautiful. I'm honestly quite in love with my eye look. I think it is so pretty. It's so ethereal. It's so winter. It's so snowy. It's so Frosty the Snowman. It's so Frosty the Snowman. And honestly, I like this palette a lot better than I thought that I was going to. I knew that I liked the color story, that it was unique and different. I know that I love the Frosty the Snowman movie, but I like this palette way better than I thought that I would. I really, really love my eye look. I can't wait to rock this all day today. This, in my opinion, is a must-have. If you love the movie, if you love the color story, the Super Shock shadows, I love those as well. Like I said, there's a lot of other pieces to this collection that I didn't pick up, but I will have the whole collection linked down below for you. Let me know what you think of my look. Did you pick up this collection? Am I swaying you to pick up this collection? Let me know down below. And I will also have my favorite beauty subscriptions, all of the other makeup that I'm wearing today, if you would like to shop the completed look. Even my little lippy that I popped on is actually from Glamlight. I just went with a gloss just because I wanted my eye look to really shine, and I wanted my whole look to be a little bit lighter, wintry, ethereal, and I think this gloss is the perfect addition. I'll also have discounts to my favorite indie brands, and of course, come over, follow me on TikTok for more beauty and makeup. I think this collection is a huge win, and I am so happy that I picked it up.